Chapter 11 Let Xiaowu Eat Imported Candy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After looking Ye Qiu up and down, Xiao Wu quickly reacted, with resentment in his eyes and gritted teeth. Don't think you're apologizing. When Sister Xiao Wu recovers, you won't be beaten until your teeth are all over the floor. Don't even think about it. Xiao Wu looked at Ye Qiu fiercely, as if she had already imagined the scene of herself riding Ye Qiu and spanking him hard. Ye Qiu seemed to understand her thoughts, looked at her teasingly, came close to her, and asked softly. You don't want to spank me too, do you? So what? Xiao Wu became hardened at this time, as if she wasn't the one who was beaten and cried just now. The delicate and charming little face, even though it was stained with tears, was still white and translucent, with the slightest hint of blush. She puffed her cheeks and glared at Ye Qiu, which was unexpectedly cute. In that case, I will beat you every day while you are still recovering, so that you will not be able to get out of bed. Ye Qiu held a lollipop in his hand and tasted it carefully, with a gentle smile on his face and a gentle tone, but it made Xiao Wu look panicked. While glaring at Ye Qiu, she also said coquettishly, How dare you? His body trembled slightly, which was the afterglow of sobbing. Looking at Ye Qiu's serious expression, his eyes dodged some lack of confidence. Gritting his teeth, he said, Even if I don't spank you, I won't let you go. Sister Xiao Wu will challenge you again. I don't want to call you boss. Okay. You are welcome to challenge me. Ye Qiu smiled faintly. He was not sure when facing Tang San, but when facing Xiao Wu, he was not too panicked. The tonnage of her all-purpose armor is not something she can easily shake. When she adds the first ring, she still doesn't know who will win. After that, Ye Qiu ignored her and just eased the relationship. He would have to use her to test another form of possession by his martial soul later. Although other people in the dormitory can also test, they are all prickly. Whenever Ye Qiu thinks about himself transforming into a mecha, draped over the other person's body, and being pricked by that ugly ice soul needle, Ye Qiu feels a chill in his heart. Moreover, stinky men are not just words to be spoken about casually. Rather than having sex with a man, if possible, Ye Qiu still hopes to find a sweet-smelling girl. Ye Qiu, who was thinking about how to get Xiao Wu to cooperate with him, was holding a pink lollipop in his hand and moving it in and out of his mouth. The nearby air was filled with a sweet smell and the fragrance of carrots. Xiao Wu on the side lightly shrugged her nose. She had played 2 games in a row and cried for a long time. She was already a little hungry. She looked at the things Ye Qiu was holding, smelled the fragrance of the carrots, and couldn't help but swallow. Swallowed, just when he was thinking about whether to use Xiao Wu's status as a 100,000-year soul beast to threaten her into submission, Ye Qiu suddenly noticed Xiao Wu looking longingly at the lollipop in his hand. Her eyes suddenly lit up, and it seemed that there was no need to reveal the trump card so quickly, although using this to threaten her was simple, crude and effective. But if she were a stranger she had just met and told her that there were titled Douluo around, she might not believe it all. Even this silly rabbit, if she was desperately trying to escape and was caught by Tang Hao, she would probably become barbecue too. It's better for this living little life of yours to be more stable. At this time, Ye Qiu didn't know that his martial spirit would give him a big shock or a surprise. Noticing Ye Qiu's gaze sweeping over, Xiao Wu immediately looked away, but still swallowed her saliva in disappointment. Ye Qiu smiled lightly, held the stick underneath, and waved it twice in front of Xiao Wu. Want to eat? I don't want it. That he said he didn't want it, but his eyes kept following the lollipop back and forth. Ye Qiu sneered, If you want to eat, just say so. It's not like I won't let you eat. Really? Xiao Wu's expression suddenly brightened. Of course. Ye Qiu nodded seriously, changing the topic from time to time, as long as you do me a small favor. What can I help you with? Xiao Wu looked at Ye Qiu strangely. It's not a big deal. It's just that my martial spirit can actually be worn on other people's bodies. I want to try it on you. There was nothing to hide. Ye Qiu arrived as expected. That iron bump? Xiao Wu's eyes lit up. In fact, she was also very curious about Ye Qiu's martial spirit. She nodded lightly without thinking too much. No problem. Okay. Then I'll feed you and open your mouth. Ye Qiu chuckled, but he didn't expect it to be done so easily. Xiao Wu's face turned red and she watched Ye Qiu's red lips slightly open, waiting for Ye Qiu to push in. Ye Qiu just wanted to get up and get it from his package, but when he saw this scene, he suddenly stopped and changed his mind. I don't have much inventory, so I have to increase revenue and reduce expenditure reasonably, smiled jokingly. He actually took the lollipop in his hand and put it into Xiao Wu's mouth. Xiao Wu's pupils suddenly shook, and when she wanted to shut up, it was already too late. Ye Qiu had quick eyes and quick hands and put it directly into her mouth, almost hurting Xiao Wu's throat. In order to speed up the melting of the sugar, Ye Qiu moved twice. Ah, cough, cough, Xiao Wu suddenly exclaimed, and then started coughing dryly. She felt that her throat was full of sweetness and her mouth was fragrant, but Ye Qiu has eaten this thing before. Xiao Wu's exclamation also made Tang San, Wang Sheng and others who were conversing look over. I saw Ye Qiu sitting next to Xiao Wu as if he was fine. After Xiao Wu coughed dryly, she took the lollipop out of her mouth and held it in her hand. He looked at Ye Qiu with shame. How can you give me what you have eaten? When Tang San heard Xiao Wu's voice, he understood what was happening. He frowned, hesitated, and then ignored it, but he still felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. This is my last carrot-flavored one. If you don't want to forget it, give it back to me and I'll eat it myself. As she said that, Ye Qiu took the lollipop back from her hand and immediately put it into his mouth. Ah! It's the one I've eaten now. Xiao Wu yelled, stood up, covered Ye Qiu's mouth with one hand, and snatched the lollipop back from Ye Qiu's hand with the other. Ugh! Ye Qiu struggled twice and opened Xiao Wu's hand. Bah! He glanced at his mouth twice and glared at Xiao Wu. Why did you put your hand on the ground on my mouth? It's so dirty. Why don't you put the food you've eaten into my mouth? Well, we're even. Xiao Wu glared at Ye Qiu, looked at the lollipop in her hand, hesitated for a moment, blushed, slowly reached over and took a tentative lick. Please read the new book. I wish you all a happy life. Chapter 12. Slow down. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A little sweetness and the fragrance of carrots bloom on the tip of the tongue. Xiao Wu's eyes couldn't help but narrow slightly, then he gently sat on the edge of the bed again, and it seemed that even the pain had eased a lot. His eyes narrowed into crescent shapes. Hey, since you ate my food, you have to help me. Ye Qiu looked at Xiao Wu with a look of enjoyment on her face, and did not forget to remind her of what she had promised him. Xiao Wu, who was enjoying the meal, glanced to the side and saw Ye Qiu staring at her closely. The face couldn't help blooming with delicate red flowers. Sister Xiao Wu knows it. She nodded slightly, agreed, and muttered, but, you have to give me food in the future. Haha. That won't work. Don't think about eating and drinking for free. Ye Qiu gently shook his finger. Xiao Wu frowned and glanced at him. Suddenly he noticed that Tang San and Wang Sheng were all staring at him, their tender faces crying with blood, and they were filled with embarrassment. With a cooing sound, she said, What are you looking at? Believe it or not, Sister Xiao Wu will deal with you. That there is something in his mouth, but both hands are clenched into small fists, as if he wants to crush you. When Tang San saw this, he was secretly glad that he hadn't been nosy just now, otherwise he would have been in trouble again. Looking at Ye Qiu again, he looked away, taking his things. He randomly chose a bed. Looking at the empty bed, Tang San realized that he didn't seem to have brought any bedding. Wang Sheng, don't we have bedding here? A student who was a few years older than Tang San, his eyes dimmed for a moment. We are all working study students, and our tuition is exempted. How can we be provided with bedding? The ones we use are all brought from home. Wang Sheng on the side suggested, how about this? You can use ours first. Tang San took a look at their quilt, which couldn't be said to be dirty, but was tattered. He simply waved his hand and said, Thank you for your kindness, I will find a way myself. As soon as he finished speaking, a teacher in his 30s walked in outside the door and glanced around. Where are the new work-study students? Come forward. When Tang San heard this, he took 2 steps forward in confusion. On the other side, Xiao Wu, who who had finished licking the candy and was still holding the stick in her mouth, stood up gently, covering her small buttocks without any trace, and glanced coldly at Ye Qiu, who was still sitting on the bed. The teacher who came in had an ordinary appearance and light green hair, which made Ye Qiu complain in his heart. He was holding a quilt in his hands. Ye Qiu understood that this was to bring warmth to Tang San, so he sat on the bed and did not move. "Which one is Tang San?" the green-haired teacher continued. Tang San quickly raised his hand and took 2 steps forward. "Teacher, I am Tang San." That the teacher glanced at him and handed the quilt in his hand towards Tang San. "My name is Mo Hen, you can call me Teacher Mo, Tang San, this is the quilt that the master has prepared for you." "Yeah." Tang San nodded slightly and took the quilt over. Although it was not gorgeous, it smelled of dryness and it was clearly a brand new quilt. Unexpectedly, the teacher thought so thoroughly, Tang San couldn't help but think of Yu Xiaojiang's stiff face. Mo Hen looked at Xiao Wu and Tang San and said, "You are all first-year work-study students. From now on, you will be responsible for cleaning the garden south of the playground. 10 copper soul coins per day. If there is any slack in work, the college will order you to do so. Drop out of school. By the way, is there another work-study student here? Then you should talk to him about it then." Tang San and Xiao Wu coincidentally cast their gazes towards Ye Qiu, and then nodded at the same time, indicating that they understood. "Tomorrow is the opening ceremony. Remember to attend. Wang Sheng, you are the oldest here. Tell them all the rules." After saying that, the teacher named Mo Hen turned around and left. Xiao Wu looked at the quilt in Tang San's arms, pursed her lips, and then looked at Ye Qiu, who also had no quilt like her. The two looked at each other, and Xiao Wu's face turned red. There were a few clever work-study students who stepped forward immediately. "Boss, you can use my mattress first. I'll fold the quilt and make it half spread and half cover." Another person said to Xiao Wu, "Sister Xiao Wu, then you can use my quilt. My mattress can be half spread and half covered." Xiao Wu looked at the shabby bedding they handed over, with a somewhat embarrassed look on her face, but looked in Tang San's direction. Tang San hugged his quilt and was looked at by Xiao Wu. He didn't know what to do with it. He only had one set. If there were more, he wouldn't mind helping, but in the current situation, they could only ask for their own blessings. "No need. I will find a way myself." Ye Qiu stood up and waved his hand, rejecting their kindness. Walking next to Xiao Wu, he was familiar with it and directly put his arm around her shoulders, linking her shoulders. What are you going to do?" Xiao Wu struggled a few times, blushing, and looked at Ye Qiu in confusion. Ye Qiu smiled softly. "How about I take you to buy a quilt, little rabbit?" "Don't call me little rabbit." Xiao Wu threw away his hand, frowned, took a few steps back, and put some distance between herself and him. "Okay. If you don't bark, don't bark. But are you going or not?" Ye Qiu shrugged. He just thought it would be fun to tease this jumping pink rabbit occasionally. "Are you telling the truth?" Xiao Wu touched her butt and looked at Ye Qiu suspiciously. "Of course it's true." Ye Qiu nodded. He still had some savings, and he thought he could get 2 ordinary beddings for the full price, and I just took this opportunity to try it with Xiao Wu to see how her thoughts became one after she put on the 10,000 phase armor. Seeing that Xiao Wu was still thinking about it, Ye Qiu had no time to wait for her. He took his small cloth package and asked Wang Sheng where in the city he could buy quilts, then he walked out the door. "Hurry up!" Ye Qiu's voice sounded outside the door, and Xiao Wu finally realized what she was doing. She took small steps, picked up her pink satchel, and ran outside. It's just that the movement of running is a bit weird. "Hey, please slow down, I'm in pain." Looking at Ye Qiu's back, Xiao Wu wrinkled her face, covered her back, and quickly followed. "Please read the new book. I wish you all a happy life." Chapter 13 Tang Hao's Thoughts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hey! Wait a minute, Sister Xiaowu. After a while, Xiaowu caught up with Ye Qiu and grabbed Ye Qiu's arm unceremoniously. "I don't call hello." "Suck it." Ye Qiu rolled his eyes, then sucked and ate the lollipop. "Hey! Didn't you just say you had the last one left? You lied to me. Xiao Wu looked at the candy in Ye Qiu's mouth and squirmed with greed. Ye Qiu glanced at her and ignored her. Ye Qiu, Sister Xiao Wu is talking to you. Xiao Wu frowned, not very happy. Did I lie to you? I just said there is only one carrot-flavored one left. Mine is grass-flavored, that Ye Qiu explained. He also held the green lollipop in his hand and waved it in front of Xiao Wu's eyes. Xiao Wu's eyes followed the candy, and then she patiently asked, it doesn't matter if it's not carrot-flavored. Can you give me another one? Okay. Really? Then hurry up and put it in. Hearing that Ye Qiu had promised her, Xiao Wu immediately became happy, her red lips parted slightly, and her mouth opened slightly, waiting for Ye Qiu to feed her, but Ye Qiu shook his head and explained with a look of disappointment in her eyes, I can give it to you, but not now. If you cooperate with me well later, I will give you one. Can't you give it to me in advance? Xiao Wu grabbed Ye Qiu's arm and swung it around like a baby. No. Ye Qiu decisively refused, then lowered his eyes to look at her little hand that was tightly grasping his own, and rolled his eyes at her angrily. Why do you keep holding on to me? I will still feel pain so I can feel more relaxed. Xiao Wu explained with a blushing face, and then she remembered that the guy in front of her was the culprit who caused her but to hurt, and she couldn't help but let out a cold snort. Ha! Ye Qiu smiled and ignored her being so close to him. Anyway, he was not the one who suffered. And when he transforms into a mecha and puts it on her body, it will stick tightly to her, so the distance is really nothing. The two of them walked side by side outside the academy. Along the way, Xiao Wu turned her face sideways, looking at Ye Qiu or looking at what he was saying. Ye Qiu would also get excited from time to time, and it was interesting to see the changing expressions on her little face. A figure stood in the shadows downstairs of the dormitory. Under the black hat, there is a sloppy face with stubble, and a strong body wearing dirty burlap clothes. This person is Tang Hao, who followed him after he went to say goodbye to his wife. Looking at the retreating figures of Xiao Wu and Ye Qiu, Tang Hao's expression remained unchanged, and a light flashed in his dead eyes. Unexpectedly, he met a 100,000-year-old soul beast and became classmates with his son. He wasn't worried about this soul beast. At first, he hoped that it would fall in love with his eldest son, just like him and Yin, so that he could do things easier in the future. But after seeing Xiao Wu and Ye Qiu getting along, he changed his mind, if possible. He didn't want his son to spend the rest of his life living in guilt and regret like himself. If it and Ye Qiu got together, it would be easier to calculate. All you need to do is hold on to that kid. After stopping for a long time, Ye Qiu and Xiao Wu's backs had disappeared from his eyes. Tang Hao, who was deep in thought, suddenly felt his mouth was dry. He glanced at the empty wine bottle in his hand, and then looked at the direction Xiao Wu left. Then quietly left and asked for a drink. He had already made up his mind, no matter who it would end up with. He, Tang Hao, had reserved these 100,000-year soul rings and soul bones in advance for his son. When Ye Qiu and Tang San arrived at Notting College, it was already afternoon time. At this time, the sun was setting in the west, the sky had turned golden, and the western skyline was like a golden sword. Ye Qiu was holding 2 mattresses, his expression was not very good, and he was walking slowly. Xiao Wu was followed behind, and she was holding a large quilt in her arms. At this time, the corners of her eyes were still wet, and her walking was even more awkward than before. Ye Qiu, why did you hit Sister Xiao Wu again just now in front of so many people? Xiao Wu behind him had his mouth pursed and his voice was slightly choked. He looked at Ye Qiu's back with a little complaint in his eyes. How dare you say that? I asked you to pretend to be cute and coquettish so that the store can give you a discount. It's better for you. When you saw someone eating roasted rabbit, you got mad and almost turned over the person's table. It's okay now. I could have bought 2 quilts, but now I only bought 1. I think you won't be covered in quilts tonight. Speaking of this, Ye Qiu became angry, stopped, turned around, and spoke as if he hated iron. Why don't you let me cover you? Just 1 bed. This quilt is so big, we can just use it together. Are you still afraid that Sister Xiao Wu will rape you? Xiao Wu raised the quilt she was holding, and her tone was a little aggrieved at first, and then a little disinterested, then he groaned angrily and said. And rabbits are so cute, why do you eat them? I just can't stand them eating rabbits. Hearing her words, Ye Qiu rolled his eyes crazily and complained angrily, you are really a rogue bunny. You are not allowed to call me that. I am not a gangster rabbit. You are a gangster. Hit others. Xiao Wu was furious and glared at Ye Qiu angrily. He has spanked himself twice, and the height of his butts on both sides are different. Thinking of this, she began to grind her silver teeth, as if she wanted to bite Ye Qiu to death. Ha ha. Seeing the shameful and angry look on her face when she wanted to do it but couldn't do it, Ye Qiu suddenly sneered. Why are you laughing? Xiao Wu looked at Ye Qiu in confusion. Ye Qiu put away his smile and looked around. He happened to be in a small alley. They found a relatively clean place and put the mattress in their hands on the ground, then he clapped his hands, stretched, and walked towards Xiao Wu. What are you going to do? You're not going to hit Sister Xiao Wu again, are you? Xiao Wu looked at Ye Qiu, who was approaching her, with a little fear in her eyes, and slowly backed away. Don't come here. What are you thinking about, you stupid rabbit? Why should I hit you? Have you forgotten what you promised me? Ye Qiu shrugged, spread his hands, and was speechless. Promise to you? Xiao Wu blinked her big crimson eyes, but didn't react for a moment. Please read the new book. I wish you all a happy life. Chapter 14. Let's unite our minds. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yes, promise me. Put down the things in your hands quickly, and I will let you try on my martial arts spirit. Ye Qiu pointed to the place where he put the quilt and asked her to put the quilt there. I told you not to call me rabbit. Only then did Xiao Wu suddenly realize what he was doing, and she pursed her lips and complained. He walked carefully towards the place where the mattress was placed, put down the quilt in his hand, and then turned around. He put his hands on his hips and said angrily, you can't call me a silly rabbit, let alone a rogue rabbit. Then he protected his butt with one hand, clenched his fist with the other, and waved twice at Ye Qiu. Be careful, Sister Xiao Wu beats you up. Ye Qiu sneered and looked at her with interest. What is this cowardly and tough attitude all about? What are you laughing at? What Sister Xiao Wu said is true. Xiao Wu frowned, her big crimson eyes looking very serious. Well, I know what you said is true. Ye Qiu pinched his chin and nodded slightly, suddenly wanting to tease this not-so-smart rabbit again. He put away the smile on his face, put his hands behind his back, walked slowly to Xiao Wu, and slowly put his little face close to her. What are you doing? Xiao Wu bent over slightly, leaned back, and opened the distance between the two with a blushing face. Why do the more I look at you, the more I think you look like a little rabbit? Ye Qiu smiled evilly, his voice calm. What nonsense are you talking about? Xiao Wu quickly took 2 steps back, pretending to be calm and staring at Ye Qiu. What's different? Ye Qiu put his hands behind his back and slowly walked around Xiao Wu. At the same time, he looked at her up and down and commented on her. Not only is the martial spirit like a rabbit, but some of its movements are also similar. Seeing others eating rabbits makes you sad and angry. Xiao Wu listened to Ye Qiu's voice, her eyes kept turning, her 2 little hands were tangled together, tightly holding the corners of her clothes. I just like rabbits very much. Suddenly, Ye Qiu came over from behind, making Xiao Wu's body freeze in place. There was a bit of hot wind whistling around his neck. Ye Qiu leaned over, shrugged his nose, and sniffed lightly. It seemed to smell pretty good, but I didn't say so. Ye Qiu was slightly possessed and whispered into his ear, even the smell on his body is a bit like a rabbit. Could you be a rabbit? Little white rabbit. The heat wave blew into the ears, but Xiao Wu's heart felt cold. Her rosy face turned pale in an instant, and her face was full of panic. How is this possible? Xiao Wu screamed, staggered forward, turned around, stared at Ye Qiu closely, her eyes evasive. I'm not. You're not allowed to call me little white rabbit. How can a human be? Haha. Just when Xiao Wu was still explaining something, Ye Qiu suddenly burst into laughter. He slowly walked up to Xiao Wu, reached out and rubbed her head. I was joking, why did you take it seriously? You bad guy. Why do you always bully me? Xiao Wu clenched her fists, her mouth was dry, her big red eyes blinked, as if she was about to shed tears. Don't you always want to beat me too? But you were the one who spanked me first, and you still kept telling me to call me rabbit, Xiao Wu said aggrievedly. The further she went, the less confident she became. Seeing tears already forming in the corners of his eyes, Ye Qiu stopped. Okay, don't cry. How about I give you a carrot flavor later? No. Xiao Wu shook her head, sniffed, and raised 2 fingers in Ye Qiu's surprised eyes. I want to. Xiao Wu, who had just finished making the request, suddenly froze for a moment and raised her red lips again. No. You lied to me. There is no carrot flavor as you promised before. Okay, just 2. As long as you are willing to cooperate with me. Ye Qiu smiled awkwardly and held her little hand in his palm without bargaining. Then, I want 3. Xiao Wu swallowed and raised the price again. No. You have a beautiful idea. Ye Qiu shook his head firmly. Seeing that she wanted to say something else, Ye Qiu directly threw out a multiple-choice question with a smile on his lips. Do you want 2 carrots or 3 barbecues? Barbecue? Xiao Wu looked at Ye Qiu confusedly. Ye Qiu continued to joke, yes, it tastes like roasted rabbit. You. Xiao Wu was annoyed and her face turned red with anger. He raised his other hand and wanted to slap Ye Qiu twice, but when he saw the threat in Ye Qiu's eyes, he put it down. Humph. Just 2. He muttered in frustration and lowered his head. Okay, if that's the case, let's get started. Ye Qiu glanced at the sky and didn't waste any more time. Then what should I do? Xiao Wu looked at Ye Qiu curiously. You just need to hold hands with me and don't resist me. Ye Qiu squeezed Xiao Wu's hand and raised it, their little hands were clasped together. Ye Qiu's expression was as usual, but Xiao Wu was slightly ashamed. Do you understand? Ye Qiu asked again. Got it. Xiao Wu nodded slightly, took a few deep breaths and relaxed her body for the sweet lollipop. Here we go. Seeing that she was ready, Ye Qiu immediately activated his Fu soul power. He also had some expectations in his heart. How would Wanxiang armor make him and Xiao Wu achieve the so-called unity of their minds? Before he finished speaking, in Xiao Wu's shocked eyes, Ye Qiu suddenly exploded and turned into a ball of blue fluorescence. It turned into a ball and wrapped around Xiao Wu's arm, and quickly spread to her body. Yeah, Xiao Wu was a little scared and wanted to throw away, but Ye Qiu's voice suddenly sounded directly from her mind. Don't be nervous and cooperate well. Xiao Wu also calmed down after hearing this. The blue hair slowly covered Xiao Wu's body, which was exactly the blue pattern on the Wanxiang armor's body. While covering his whole body, Xiao Wu also felt a surge of soul power pouring into his body, which was comparable to his original strength. Xiao Wu's body emitted strange fluctuations, and a slight mechanical collision sound reached her ears, which was surprisingly pleasant. In an instant, Xiao Wu felt a weight on her body, and a ball of warmth was surrounding her, as if she was being held in someone's arms. In the alley, her figure had disappeared, replaced by a pair of slender blue and white mecha that tightly wrapped Xiao Wu's body. It was as if it was specially designed for her, and it fit perfectly. Compared with what Ye Qiu wore himself, Xiao Wu's face armor was softer, and there was a long metal whip like a scorpion tail on the back of her head. Please read the new book. I wish you all a happy life. Chapter 15 Shared Memories. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the soul power of the two people continues to intertwine and merge together, the blue lines on the surface of the mecha slowly light up, adding a little vitality to the mecha. When the soul power of the two people was fused, all the blue lines lit up. The originally dull eyes of the Wanxiang armor suddenly burst out with a ray of light and became completely alive. A curtain of light that only Ye Qiu could see suddenly appeared in his sight. There are two figures on it, namely Ye Qiu and Xiao Wu. Some physical data are also marked on it, creating an extra link between the two. A line of small words appeared on the light screen, soul power fusion completed. Start the spiritual link. The subtitles flashed by, and there was a new bond between the two, and the brilliance flowed from that bond. Ye Qiu suddenly realized that his vision seemed to be synchronized with Xiao Wu's, and he could clearly feel Xiao Wu's temperature, heartbeat, and a faint fragrance. From the beginning to now, it only took a moment. Before Ye Qiu could react, he suddenly felt a palpitation in his heart. My consciousness seemed to be pulled out and kneaded together with another consciousness. It felt like being forced into a bow by an overlord. His head was suddenly confused, and strange images flashed through his mind. At the same time, Xiao Wu, who was feeling that her small body was full of power and was still happy about it, suddenly trembled. She also read Ye Qiu's memory. Not good. Ye Qiu reacted suddenly and immediately controlled his martial spirit to prevent his memory from flowing to Xiao Wu. If it doesn't work, he has to release this state of possession. His understanding of the plot is his biggest reliance. Fortunately, Ye Qiu seemed to be in the dominant position during this process. In this way, this spiritual link becomes a one-sided thing. Various soul beasts came into view. In the lake of life, shrouded in mist and sparkling, a titan ape that is as big as a hill, and a sky-green bull python that is several times thicker than a water tank and has a huge bull's head. After browsing through these memories, Ye Qiu dared to say that in terms of soul beasts, the well-read Yu Xiaojiang was just a little Kalami in front of him. However, before Ye Qiu could finish browsing Xiao Wu's memories, a feeling of panic suddenly emerged in his heart. Ye Qiu knew very well that this emotion definitely did not come from him. No, no. Stop looking, go away. Sister Xiao Wu doesn't want your candy. Xiao Wu's crying voice sounded in Ye Qiu's ears, with a bit of resentment, a bit of pleading and a bit of fear. Outside, Xiao Wu, who was wearing a mecha, began to tremble all over, and the bright eyes on his faceplate flickered on and off. She is resisting Ye Qiu. The seamless blue stripes appear discontinuous. In order not to hurt Xiao Wu, Ye Qiu gave up the idea of continuing. Poof. The sharp-edged blue-white mecha suddenly disintegrated, turned into dots of fluorescence, and regrouped into Ye Qiu's appearance. Xiao Wu could also feel that the strength of her body was passing away, but she had no time to pay attention to it. He lowered his head, holding his head, and his body was trembling. Ye Qiu slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air. Although he was not completely successful, he also understood a lot about his martial soul's ability, and joy flashed on his face. Looking at Xiao Wu with her head lowered and silent, Ye Qiu put his hand on her shoulder and felt her body tremble. He leaned close to her ear and chuckled softly. Okay. Little rabbit. It turns out you are really not a human. Don't say it. Xiao Wu lowered her head and kept shaking, suppressing her cry, which sounded hoarse. Ye Qiu was still smiling and was about to say something more when a breeze suddenly came from outside the alley. A slight breeze blew by, and his face felt cold. Ye Qiu was also stunned for a moment, and reached out to touch his face. Where does this water come from? Tick. A crystal teardrop fell on the ground. Ye Qiu reacted immediately and looked at Xiao Wu in shock. It turned out that these were Xiao Wu's tears, which were stained on Ye Qiu's face when he transformed into a mecha. I saw that she was still muttering the word no, and she raised her head tremblingly, her face full of tears, and her eyes full of panic. 2 arms hugged his small body. He looked at Ye Qiu as if pleading, biting his red lips, with a delicate look on his face. Don't tell anyone, okay? Sister Xiao Wu, I can listen to you about anything. Don't tell anyone, okay? Xiao Wu stretched out her hand and pulled Ye Qiu's sleeve, holding it tightly. Her tears were like broken pearls. Ye Qiu twitched the corner of his mouth. It seemed that it was a bit too much, but he would never say it outright. Do you really listen to me in everything? Xiao Wu's face paled. She pursed her red lips and nodded lightly. It is good, Ye Qiu responded, held her little hand with his backhand, and said seriously. Then let's do it again. This time, you can't refuse me. Xiao Wu blinked, a little hesitant, thought for a moment, and nodded slowly. Her biggest secret has already been known to Ye Qiu, so what if it happens again? Seeing Ye Qiu suddenly reaching out, Xiao Wu's voice was frail and choked. very slightly. What are you going to do? Of course I'm going to wipe your nose clean, so it doesn't get on me. Ye Qiu gave her a calm look, took out the candy-wrapped cloth from his arms, and gently placed it on her center. Wiped. A little sweetness was left on her little Qiong's nose that was red from crying, and then she stuffed the cloth into Xiao Wu's arms. Looking at the cloth handkerchief stuffed inside her clothes, Xiao Wu's pale face turned slightly red. She pursed her lips and didn't say much, but some tears leaked out of the corners of her eyes. Okay, are you ready? Ye Qiu squeezed her little hand to bring her back to her senses. Yeah, Xiao Wu nodded slightly, closing her eyes as if accepting her fate. 2 lines of clear tears slowly slid down her cheeks. Seeing this, Ye Qiu rolled his eyes angrily. Wasn't he just trying to comfort her? Why is she still aggrieved? After all, it is not a good idea to talk about this topic in public. If 2 people have a spiritual connection, they can say whatever they want without even saying it. Just thinking about it, the other person will understand. I'm coming. Ye Qiu reminded Xiao Wu, and immediately turned into a light spot, turning into a blue patch, and re-outlined Xiao Wu's body surface. A bright light flashed, and Xiao Wu put on the mecha again. The blue stripes lit up, and the blue eyes covered the pink eyes inside. Click. Xiao Wu clenched her fists tightly, resisting her heart palpitations. The process of connecting her memories felt as if someone had forced her memory and her soul was being played with. They left each other's mark directly in the depths of their souls. Please read the new book. I wish you all a happy life. Chapter 16 Domineering Martial Spirit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Click. The memories of the 2 people were slowly linked together. Xiao Wu, who was clenching her fists tightly, suddenly froze for a moment and tilted her head. As his eyes flickered, a surprise suddenly arose in his heart. Ye Qiu's memories actually came to her, and what followed was the truest thought in Ye Qiu's heart. He would not reveal his identity, nor would he hurt himself. Under Ye Qiu's sincere, heartfelt and unabashed sincerity, her pretty face, which was still sobbing a little, suddenly became a little brighter. Of course, Ye Qiu only shared his memories of this world with her. As for Tang San and his son, Ye Qiu tried to cover it up a little, but only hinted to Xiao Wu that their identities were not ordinary. Let her be on guard. Now that Xiao Wu is in front of Tang Hao, for now, don't even think about running away. Telling her this in advance may make her panic too much. You have to find another time to tell her. Ye Qiu. Thank you. At this time, Ye Qiu could be said to have inhabited Xiao Wu's body with his consciousness, and he could feel his heartfelt gratitude to her. Cooperate well with me. Try your power. Ye Qiu responded lightly. Yeah. Xiao Wu nodded, collected his emotions, and began to try out his steel mecha. Click. With a slight mechanical sound, Xiao Wu raised her arm, lowered her head and looked at her body covered in steel armor, feeling a little strange. His body seemed to be controlled by both him and Ye Qiu. Bang. Ye Qiu wanted to test the power of the mecha in this state, and Xiao Wu had a good connection with him. He punched the hard ground with one punch. There was a muffled sound, the ground cracked, and several floor tiles shattered. Da. Xiao Wu's figure in the mecha suddenly jumped up high, and in a few flashes, she shuttled back and forth between the 2 high walls of the alley, just about to climb to the top of the high wall. Ah! You stupid rabbit! In Ye Qiu's exclamation, Xiao Wu's figure suddenly fell down. Seeing the ground right in front of her, Xiao Wu suddenly rolled her body in the air, holding her hands on the ground, like a gymnast. After a few graceful somersaults, she raised her hands and stood firmly on the ground. Damn rabbit! What do you want to eat at this time? Can you focus a little more? Ye Qiu's voice came with some fear, and then he felt some pain in his butt. He couldn't help but scratch his butt with his hands, and said uncertainly. Huh? Did you get hurt? No, I hit you before. Xiao Wu, who originally wanted to say sorry, suddenly turned red. Although her own hand was touching her, she still felt strange in her heart. You rogue rabbit, can you please stop thinking nonsense? Ye Qiu couldn't help but complain. Humph, how can I have such random thoughts? Xiao Wu snorted softly, with a hint of sadness in her tone. Can you please stop calling me Rabbit? I didn't call you wrong. If someone were around here, they would definitely feel scared. One person actually made two different voices, a female voice and a male voice, and they even got into an argument. After trying it again for a while, I experienced this extraordinary feeling. Ye Qiu hugged the mattress and walked out of the alley. Xiao Wu behind her also quickly wiped away the remaining tears on her face, picked up the quilt and caught up with Ye Qiu. On the way back to college, Ye Qiu only felt that his head was a little dizzy and he shook his head from time to time. Xiao Wu's memories are a bit too vast. Fortunately, they are basically scenes of the Lake of Life, so it is not troublesome to sort them out. Ye Qiu also understood his own martial spirit. All I can say is that he is really overbearing. Not only can memories be intertwined, but the two people can also communicate with each other in mind, soul power, and five senses. This is simply a universal adapter for martial soul fusion skills. Even in terms of picking up girls, it is definitely a powerful tool. I just don't know what kind of soul skills I will get after I get the soul ring. Xiao Wu followed Ye Qiu, urging softly, Ye Qiu, when will you give me the lollipop you mentioned before? Ye Qiu put away his thoughts, glanced at her, and smiled teasingly. Give it to you. Didn't you say you didn't want it before? What? Xiao Wu screamed, quickly ran to Ye Qiu's side, turned to look at Ye Qiu. How could I say no? Ye Qiu also turned to look at her, and Xiao Wu's eyes suddenly started to dodge with a guilty conscience, hemming and hawing. Even if I say no, you still have to give me one. I've already cooperated with you. It depends on my mood, if you are obedient. A slight smile appeared on Ye Qiu's lips, and an inexplicable color flashed through his black eyes. I will definitely be obedient. Xiao Wu's eyes flashed with panic. Although she knew that Ye Qiu would not hurt her, she would be a little unsure if she made him unhappy. After walking for a while, Ye Qiu saw another stall selling ointment, and seemed to remember something. He turned to look at Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu, do you want to buy some ointment so that I can apply it on you? I don't want it. Xiao Wu blushed and rejected Ye Qiu's proposal. TCH. Ye Qiu curled his lips. What's there to be ashamed of? Is there anything else you don't know that I don't know about? Xiao Wu blushed and opened her mouth. She didn't know how to answer. She hugged the quilt tightly and lowered her head. What Ye Qiu said was true. After transforming into a mecha and covering her whole body, Ye Qiu clearly understood every area of Xiao Wu, whether it was physical or mental. If there is anything that I haven't understood yet, I can only wait until later for a more in-depth understanding. If you learn more about it now, you will be severely punished. Ye Qiu ignored her and placed the mattress in his hand on top of the quilt she was holding. He took out the remaining copper soul coins from his arms and walked towards the small stall. Xiao Wu raised her head and stared blankly at Ye Qiu's back, feeling a little calmer in her heart. After buying the things, Ye Qiu took the mattress and walked slowly towards Nodding College. Xiao Wu suddenly smiled, her steps became brisk, and she followed closely. The setting sun has sunk into the mountain col, leaving only the fiery red sunset glow on the horizon. Walking to the entrance of the college, Ye Qiu smelled of barbecue and suddenly felt a little hungry. Looking towards the place where the smell of meat came from, it turned out to be a stall selling rabbit meat. Ye Qiu glanced at Xiao Wu behind him. I always feel that my comfort effect is too good, and I can't control her anymore. Thinking of this, Ye Qiu walked forward. Ye Qiu, what are you going to do? Xiao Wu looked at Ye Qiu strangely as he deviated from the route. When I saw the barbecue stall in front of me clearly, I felt something bad and quickly followed it. Please read the new book. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival to everyone. Chapter 17. Open your mouth, open it wider. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As she got closer, Xiao Wu finally saw clearly what was being sold in that stall. He quickly ran to Ye Qiu and said coquettishly, Ye Qiu, you are not allowed to eat. But I'm hungry. Seeing her coming over, Ye Qiu shrugged helplessly. And didn't you say you would be obedient? As he spoke, Ye Qiu put the mattress in his hand on top of the quilt. But Xiao Wu was stunned for a moment and wanted to stop him again. Okay, stop talking. However, Ye Qiu waved his hand to tell her to shut her mouth. After walking around her, he shouted to the owner of the stall. "Uncle, bring me a roasted rabbit leg. I want it to be tender." Seeing Ye Qiu take out the coins from his pocket and take the rabbit leg into his hand, Xiao Wu bit her red lips, a little aggrieved flashed in her eyes. "What are you standing for? Let's go quickly." Ye Qiu held the rabbit leg in his mouth, turned around and looked at Xiao Wu who was standing there, and urged. Xiao Wu glanced at Ye Qiu, who had a somewhat proud face, lowered his eyebrows and lowered his eyes, followed behind, and walked towards the academy with some worry. Ye Qiu turned around and took a bite of the tender and juicy rabbit leg, with a slight smile on his face. It seems that Xiao Wu is still very obedient, but this is not enough. By the time he entered the academy, Ye Qiu had already finished eating the meat in his hands, leaving only a small bone. Xiao Wu held her things in her arms and didn't speak again along the way, just hanging quietly behind Ye Qiu. Ye Qiu looked at the leftover rabbit legs, stopped, turned around, pinched the bones in his hands, and looked at Xiao Wu with a smile. "Ye Qiu, what are you doing?" Xiao Wu also stopped, frowning her slender eyebrows, looking at him with a little vigilance in her eyes. Ye Qiu didn't speak, just squeezed the bones in his hands, walked slowly to Xiao Wu, smiled and ordered. "Open your mouth." Looking at the bones that he kept waving in his hand, Xiao Wu seemed to understand something. His face suddenly turned ugly, he gritted his silver teeth, and his crimson eyes were covered with mist. Looking at Ye Qiu pitifully, seeing that he had no reaction at all, he could only nod slightly. With a humiliating nasal voice, Xiao Wu responded softly, and then opened her red lips slightly with some difficulty. Ye Qiu was a little dissatisfied and said coldly, "Open up more." Hearing this, Xiao Wu trembled, closed her eyes, and squeezed out some tears from the corners of her eyes. Seeing her look of pity, Ye Qiu rolled his eyes, looked at her mouth that had not changed much, took the thing in his hand, and stabbed it in. "Ah Wu." Xiao Wu let out a whimper, but Ye Qiu pinched her face and said jokingly, "It seems you are really obedient." Pulling her cheek, Ye Qiu took the thing in her hand before she could recover, held it in his arms and walked towards Qixia. Xiao Wu opened her eyes, blinked blankly, and was stunned when she noticed the sweetness in her mouth. The rabbit's tongue turned slightly, and the taste becomes even sweeter. He took out the thing in his mouth and saw that it was a pink lollipop. He touched his cheek which was red from being pinched by Ye Qiu. A look of surprise appeared on his face, and a smile slowly appeared. Wiping the moisture from his eyes with his sleeves, he quickly ran towards Ye Qiu. He stood beside Ye Qiu and walked side by side, slowly tasting the candy in his hand. He focused on looking at Ye Qiu. When Ye Qiu turned to look at her, Xiao Wu's smile quickly faded away, her face turned red, her head lowered, and she slowly turned the candy in her hand. "You have to remember what you said," Ye Qiu reminded lightly. "Yeah." Xiao Wu nodded quickly. "Sister Xiao Wu will be obedient." Ye Qiu rolled his eyes at her and walked towards Qixia silently without correcting her title. Not long after, they had returned to Qixia. When the two of them stepped into Qizhu, the sky was almost dark. Under the shadow of the dormitory building, a burly black figure slowly disappeared. "Boss, Sister Xiao Wu. You are back." As soon as they entered the door, someone greeted Ye Qiu and the others. "Yeah." Ye Qiu responded lightly. He had walked a lot today and he was already a little tired. Sister Xiao Wu is back." Xiao Wu was very interested. She held the candy in her mouth and seemed to have forgotten the previous unpleasantness. Ye Qiu threw a set of quilts on an empty bed, and then put the quilt back on the adjacent bed. Feel good." Then he lay down on the newly made bed and exhaled a sigh of relief. Tang San, who had already made the bed, had already prepared dry food, water, and dinner. He was sitting cross-legged on the bed meditating, and when he heard the greetings from the students, he opened his eyes. What caught his eye was the pretty Xiao Wu. She was standing beside the bed and glanced at the quilt that Ye Qiu had taken away. Holding the candy in his mouth, he glanced around, then quickly made his bed with a red face. Then, under the astonished gazes of Tang San, Wang Sheng and others, he held the edge of the bed with both hands and pushed his own bed towards Ye Qiu until the two beds were brought together. Tang San looked at this scene in confusion, and became wiser. He no longer asked Xiao Wu, but asked Ye Qiu. Ye Qiu, what are you doing? Unfortunately, Ye Qiu was too lazy to speak this time. For a long time, Ye Qiu didn't reply, and Tang San couldn't help but frown. Xiao Wu rubbed her butt. When she heard his question and was about to answer, Ye Qiu suddenly stood up. Mistress, can't you tell? That silly rabbit doesn't have a quilt. Ye Qiu Xiao Wu, who was about to pull the quilt between the two of them, suddenly frowned and called Ye Qiu softly, indicating that he was not allowed to call him a silly rabbit. Although that's the case, isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to do this? Tang San looked at Ye Qiu and the two strangely. Xiao Wu pulled back the quilt and said, what's wrong? The quilt Ye Qiu bought is very big. It almost covers 2 beds. Okay. A few black lines appeared on Tang San's forehead. Since Xiao Wu, the person involved, didn't mind, why should he worry about it? It's all your fault. Ye Qiu glared at Xiao Wu angrily. Just when he lay down, Ye Qiu suddenly remembered that not only did he not buy a second quilt, he even forgot to buy a pillow in anger. I didn't mean it. Xiao Wu faltered, then lowered his head angrily and packed up his things. Wang Sheng and others were even more surprised. They felt that Xiao Wu seemed to have changed a lot after she went out. Puff. A small box suddenly hit the quilt in front of Xiao Wu. It was the ointment Ye Qiu bought. You can apply it on yourself when you take a shower. Ye Qiu's calm voice sounded. After saying that, he picked up his school uniform, asked for the direction of the bathroom, and walked out the door. Xiao Wu picked up the ointment, raised her head and looked out the door. She noticed that other people were staring at her closely, and she suddenly felt ashamed and angry. What are you looking at? Let's see Sister Xiao Wu kick your butts. Wang Sheng and others were so frightened that they quickly looked away. It was indeed my misunderstanding just now. Sister Xiao Wu has not changed at all. Please read the new book. I wish you all a happy life. Chapter 18 Green. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Night gradually enveloped the earth. Most of the students in the 7th house have also finished washing. Xiao Wu had just returned to the dormitory with her hair loose. Her fair face was rosy, and her waist-length black and red hair looked quite unique. Tang San, who had never had any contact with girls, stared straight-eyed for a moment, as did Wang Sheng and the others. Huh, what are you looking at? Xiao Wu snorted and glared at them. Seeing that they looked away, she quickly walked to her bed. Ye Qiu is sitting cross-legged on the bed, trying to practice the method he got from Xiao Wu's memory. Ye Qiu, what should we do if we don't have pillows? Xiao Wu, who had just applied the ointment and felt a little cold on her buttocks, was lying on the quilt, her 2 jade feet swaying gently, supporting her chin with both hands, looking at Ye Qiu with a blushing face. Ye Qiu didn't even open his eyes before he responded, use your own clothes to deal with it first. I don't have enough money now. I will register as a soul master after hunting souls in a few days, so I will buy 2. After saying that, he opened his eyes, looked at his hands, and felt the insignificant increase in soul power in his body, and couldn't help but smile on his face. Okay. Xiao Wu nodded, stood up and folded his old clothes twice. A cloth handkerchief floated out. Xiao Wu's face was stunned. She picked it up gently, and put it into her pink satchel along with the ointment Ye Qiu bought. As soon as he raised his head, he found Ye Qiu lying on his side on the bed, supporting his head with one hand and looking at him with interest. A look of embarrassment suddenly appeared on his face, and he placed his small bag between the 2 beds with a blushing face. You can't cross the line at night. Or else. Xiao Wu wanted to say something threatening, but thinking that Ye Qiu still had the leverage, she couldn't say anything harsh. TCH. I'm not interested in a kid like you. Ye Qiu curled his lips, placed his package in the middle of the bed, then lifted the quilt and lay down in it, closing his eyes. Xiao Wu wrinkled her face, raised her fist at Ye Qiu, who closed his eyes, and then lay down under the quilt. He shrugged his nose and suddenly smelled a sweet smell. He turned his head to Ye Qiu and soon discovered that the smell was escaping from Ye Qiu's package. Her crimson eyes rolled, and she had already guessed what was inside. There was a rooster crowing outside, and some light shone from the windows of Chisha. Lying on Ye Qiu's body, he slowly opened his eyes, took away his little hand from around Ye Qiu's neck, and rubbed his sleepy eyes. He smiled and said hello to Ye Qiu. Good morning, Ye Qiu. What's good? Get away now. Several black lines appeared on Ye Qiu's forehead, and he pushed her away angrily. Ah, why did you come here? Xiao Wu suddenly grabbed the quilt and looked at Ye Qiu with a red face. Why did I come here? It's obviously you, a rogue rabbit, so you came here on your own. Ye Qiu rubbed his eyes with dark circles, his face numb. In the middle of the night, I was woken up by this rogue rabbit, hugging his neck and calling out about Deming, Ming and Mother. He even licks himself from time to time. Do you really think of himself as candy? Ye Qiu rubbed his little face vigorously and stared at Xiao Wu. He said coldly, next time if you dare to wake me up again, I will kick you out of bed. Xiao Wu was also stunned at this time, looking left and right, and then she was sure that it was indeed her fault. She didn't dare to look at Ye Qiu. She blushed and lowered her head, nodding slightly. Well, Sister Xiao Wu knows. I'm going to wash up first. You can fold the quilt. Ye Qiu stood up and stretched, weakly said a word, and walked outside Qisha. Looking around, only Tang San's bed was deserted. He must have gone to practice the purple demon eyes. After merging with Xiao Wu yesterday, Ye Qiu also had thoughts about Tang San's memory, but he really didn't want to get close to the stinky man, and if he did, even if he got what he wanted, he might couldn't survive the scene. Thinking of this, I suddenly felt a little melancholy. Xiao Wu pouted and looked at Ye Qiu's back. After folding the quilt with a groan, she looked at the other Wang Sheng and others who were still sleeping. She was glad that they didn't see her embarrassment, and at the same time she immediately exercised her rights as a big sister. Get up! Get up! What a bunch of slackers! While shouting, he put his hands on his hips and kicked the legs of other people's beds loudly. When Ye Qiu came back, everyone got up at Xiao Wu's urging. Tang San, who had gone out to practice, had also returned to the dormitory. A usual smile appeared on Ye Qiu's face, and he sat down beside Tang San's bed. Hey! Good morning, mistress, you are still so diligent. Well, after so many years, I have gotten used to it. Tang San nodded slightly and smiled strangely at Ye Qiu. He actually admired Ye Qiu, even at such a young age. Xiao Wu was able to do this. Ye Qiu raised his eyebrows and didn't care, looking at the dry food Tang San was nibbling. He also felt a little hungry. He got up and went to his bedside, and took out his dry food from his package. Then he returned to Tang San's side, spread out his hand, and there was a green candy lying on it. Mistress, would you like some? Tang San was stunned for a moment, always feeling that this green color was a bit dazzling. He shook his head and refused. No, you can eat it yourself. Ye Qiu, he doesn't want me to want it, so give it to me. Xiao Wu, who had just tied her hair, suddenly jumped over and sat directly next to Ye Qiu. She was holding a wilted carrot in her hand, which she brought with her when she came to the academy. If you want it, I'll give it to you. Ye Qiu rolled his eyes at her and put his hand into her mouth. Okay, thank you. Xiao Wu smiled happily, opened her red lips obediently, and took the candy in her mouth. Why does this candy taste weird? Xiao Wu, who was still smiling, suddenly frowned and took the lollipop in her hand, sticking out his tongue. With a grimace on his face, he asked Ye Qiu in confusion, Ye Qiu, isn't this candy bad? Why is it bitter? But when Tang San heard this, he also looked at Ye Qiu strangely. How could it be bad? The bitter melon flavor is of course bitter. Ye Qiu replied with a smile, then grabbed Xiao Wu's wrist and put the candy into her mouth. You can't throw it away. Bitter melon is cooling and reduces internal heat. It just relieves the heat in your body after eating too much sugar. Aha! As soon as they touched her, Xiao Wu turned her head away in disgust. Stop coming, you must be lying to Sister Xiao Wu. You will make fun of me. Yo ho. Ye Qiu looked at her in surprise, not expecting that she was right. Xiao Wu, Ye Qiu is right, bitter melon does have the effect of cooling and reducing internal heat. Tang San, who was still a little doubtful at first, smiled when he heard Ye Qiu's explanation and spoke for Ye Qiu. Did you hear that? I'm doing this for your own good. Eat well and clean. Ye Qiu turned his back to Tang San, with a smile on his lips. It was originally prepared for Tang San, but you are a greedy rabbit. Xiao Wu lowered his head and wailed under Ye Qiu's intense gaze. Tang San also smiled rarely when he looked at her cute appearance. At this time, Wang Xing also came over. Boss, Sister Xiao Wu, and third brother, it's time for us to attend the opening ceremony. Okay, then let's set off. Tang San quickly stuffed the remaining dry food into his mouth. Please read the new book. I wish you all a happy life. Chapter 19 Lowly Poor Guy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The coolness of the morning is fading, the scorching sun was shining brightly, burning the stone bricks on the ground. Sure enough, it was the same everywhere. The leaders of the college all spoke with the same eloquence. I have my own high roof to provide shade, so I don't care whether you get rain or sun exposure. It was close to noon when this tedious and boring opening ceremony was finally over, including Ye Qiu and the others. There were a total of 12 people from the 7 houses, and they almost staggered back to the dormitory. As soon as he entered the door, Ye Qiu couldn't bear it anymore and threw himself on the bed. Xiao Wu followed closely behind. Ah! Sister Xiao Wu is dying. She is hungry and tired. Ye Qiu, do you still have candy? Ye Qiu was lying on the bed, too lazy to pay attention to her. He only ate a little dry food in the morning, and his body and bones were also a little weak at this time. Tang San, who had the Xiantian Kung by his side, was not very tired. He looked at his roommate who had collapsed in a large area and shook his head. Seeing him still full of energy made Ye Qiu a little envious. Wang Sheng is older, possesses the fighting tiger martial spirit, and his physical fitness is much stronger, so he is still energetic at this time. Sister Xiao Wu, since you are hungry, how about we go to the cafeteria to eat something now? As soon as Xiao Wu heard that the food was available, she immediately got up and her sad face became more beautiful. He couldn't wait to ask, okay, what's delicious to eat? Wang Sheng and other students looked at each other, smiled bitterly, and said, as working students, what can we eat? Our work hasn't even started yet. We can just buy some cheap meals in the cafeteria to make ends meet. Hearing this, Xiao Wu also had a troubled expression on her face. She was completely destitute and didn't have any money, so she had no choice but to look at Ye Qiu for help. Ye Qiu, who was lying on the bed, raised his eyelids and sat up. In Xiao Wu's expectant eyes, she said calmly, I'm hungry too, let's go together. Okay. Xiao Wu stood up excitedly when she saw that her money bag was also going with her. Wang Xing turned his attention to Tang San again, but Tang San was no better than Ye Qiu. His blacksmith shop was really poor, all the money was used to exchange wine for his father, Tang Hao. In order not to go hungry, he specially brought some more dry food, including rough cakes made by himself. Tang San shook his head calmly. He didn't have a single copper coin now and had to wait until he started working tomorrow before he could get his salary. You guys go ahead, I won't go. Harm third brother. Wang Xing stepped forward and put his arm around Tang San's shoulders. He understood the feeling of being cash-strapped. Let's go together. The food expenses for you and Sister Xiao Wu these 2 days will be mine. Wang Xing said proudly. He could still get this little money. In order to take care of his self-esteem, Wang Xing added another sentence. Anyway, we will all be roommates from now on. When you become a soul master, you can go directly to the Wuhuan Hall to receive a monthly subsidy of 1 gold soul coin. Then you can just invite me. Golden soul coin. Tang San's eyes lit up. Although he was a little confused, he no longer hesitated and nodded in agreement. Wang Sheng, it would be great if Sister Xiao Wu has Ye Qiu to pay for her debts. Xiao Wu's clear voice sounded. Sister Xiao Wu doesn't want to go around paying off debts. Haha. Okay, Sister Xiao Wu, let's go then. Wang Xing smiled and led a few people to the college's cafeteria. During this period, Tang San also ran to Wang Xing's side and asked him about the Spirit Master subsidy he just mentioned. Ye Qiu and Xiao Wu were also listening quietly. Qisha is an exclusive dormitory for work-study students, and its location is not very good. It is a bit far from classrooms and canteens, however, this junior college is not big. While listening to Wang Sheng's introduction, he walked and arrived at the cafeteria in less than a quarter of an hour. It's so big here. Xiao Wu exclaimed as she looked at the huge hall. Tang San nodded slightly, agreeing with her exclamation. Of course, there is no problem for the 6th grades and faculty of Nodding College to eat here at the same time. Wang Xing explained at the side. Xiao Wu looked left and right. None of the surrounding windows seemed to have what she wanted, so she couldn't help but look at Wang Sheng. Aren't there any fresh carrots here? There shouldn't be one on the 1st floor. I don't know about the 2nd floor. Then let's go to the 2nd floor and have a look. Wang Xing scratched his head in embarrassment. Sister Xiao Wu, let's go to the 2nd floor after we get our wages. The things upstairs are very expensive. Ye Qiu. Xiao Wu came back and looked at Ye Qiu pitifully. What? Ye Qiu knocked him on the head mercilessly. What are you thinking? Do you really think I'm a money bag? You haven't even given me the money for the betting and I don't have much money left. Xiao Wu held her head, a few tears squeezed out of the corners of her eyes, and stared at Ye Qiu with her mouth pouted. In that case, let's have dinner on the 1st floor. Tang San chuckled, looking at Xiao Wu's pitiful appearance, and felt a little trembling. Yes, poor people should be self-aware. The 2nd floor is not a place for lowly work-study students like you. A group of beautifully dressed boys and girls came down from the 2nd floor. This arrogant voice was exactly what one of them said. They stood on the stairs and looked down at Ye Qiu and the others. There was contempt and disgust in his eyes. I think it's better than this. Your meal is mine. How about I treat you to my leftovers? Have fun. Ha. As soon as he said this, the people around him couldn't help but laugh, and looked at Ye Qiu and others with amusement in their eyes. Boss, Sister Xiao Wu, and 3rd brother, these are all aristocratic students in the college. They like to bully us work-study students the most. The person who just spoke is called Ling Feng. Wang Xing lowered his voice and spoke softly to the 3rd child of his Qixia. The elder brother reported. Before he could finish speaking, Xiao Wu couldn't bear this kind of birdiness anymore. She took a step forward and said coquettishly, Why are you laughing? You guys can't get enough of me. Seeing Xiao Wu, the leader Ling Feng's eyes lit up and he leaned on the handrail of the stairs with a flirtatious expression. Yo! I didn't expect that there would be a little lowly among this year's work-study students. It's a pity that he is also a lowly poor guy. A person next to him added. Those who thought they were noble burst into laughter again. The other party kept talking about words such as poor devil and lowly, which made Tang San, who didn't want to argue with the child, couldn't help but frown. Xiao Wu, do it. Ye Qiu also showed a slight sneer, and just wanted to close the door and let the rabbit go, but when she saw Xiao Wu, she couldn't help but rush out. She took 3 steps and 2 steps at a time, jumped up the stairs, raised her hand and slapped Ling Feng. I think you're just looking for trouble. Xiao Wu suddenly burst into flames, which shocked Ling Feng. He raised a hand and summoned the martial spirit. Armor shield martial spirit, guard. A golden shield blocked Xiao Wu's attack. Martial stick and martial spirit, come out. The person next to him who had just interrupted also suddenly took action. He raised his hand and a wooden stick appeared in his hand. After shaking it twice, afterimages appeared and he stabbed Xiao Wu directly. Snapped. The stick was held firmly in the hand by a mechanical arm, and Ye Qiu could distinguish the mere afterimage as soon as his eyes lit up. Please read the new book. I wish you all a happy holiday. Chapter 2024 Bridges on a Moonlit Night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Holding the stick in his hand, the man was struggling to pull it out. There was a sneer on Ye Qiu's lips, and he suddenly let go when he tried his best. The man stumbled a few times and almost fell on his butt. Boy! You are courting death. The man's face turned red and he swung his martial arts stick again. Snapped. Suddenly, a piece of blue silver grass hit the man's eyes, and Ye Qiu knew that it was Xiao San who took action. He also took this opportunity to knock him down with an elbow. Pa! There was a sound from the side. Xiao Wu had already broken Ling Feng's defense, and slapped Ling Feng on the face, knocking him down the stairs. Seeing this, Ye Qiu also kicked the person under his feet. The three of them looked down at Ling Feng and the other two. Ling Feng, who was lying on the ground, covered his swollen face, raised his head, and looked at them fiercely. You despicable working study students actually dare to hit me. Aren't you afraid that the college will expel you? You bastard, you're still talking nonsense here. That Wang Sheng, who had already reacted, directly lifted Ling Feng's collar and wanted to give him 2 eye cannons. Amidst Ling Feng's screams, a majestic and hoarse voice suddenly came, stopping Wang Sheng's movements. Stop! The master is here. The students around looked at the coming person. It was classmate Yu Xiaojiang, who had a dark face and wore an old black bachelor's uniform. Yu Xiaojiang stood beside Wang Sheng with his hands behind his back. Private fights are not allowed in school, don't you know? Next time, I will be expelled directly. Ye Qiu smiled indifferently. He was just a freeloader. Where did he get such power? Are you blind? They were obviously the ones who came to fight first. Xiao Wu shouted at Yu Xiaojiang, unconvinced. But Yu Xiaojiang didn't take her seriously at all. He glanced at her and Ye Qiu lightly, and then looked at his beloved disciple. He walked up to Tang San unhurriedly and patted his shoulder. Xiao San, follow me to the 2nd floor for dinner, and then I will take you to my room. No, teacher, it's better for me to stay with my roommates. Tang San shook his head. He didn't want to do anything unique. Okay, then you can wait for me at the door of the cafeteria for a while after you finish eating. He let go of Tang San's shoulders, then turned to Ling Feng and the others and said, let's all disperse. Then without saying anything else, he walked straight to the 2nd floor of the cafeteria. After Ling Feng and others put down their harsh words, they quickly ran away in despair. What kind of master is this facial paralysis? He is simply blind. Xiao Wu, who was still a little angry, looked at Yu Xiaojiang's back and cursed to himself. Tang San stood aside and frowned, feeling a little uncomfortable. Sister Xiao Wu, please keep your voice down, he is the dean's friend after all. Wang Xing hurriedly told Xiao Wu to stop talking, and then turned to look at Tang San with some doubts in his eyes. By the way, third brother, why do you call him teacher? He doesn't seem to be in class. Ye Qiu interrupted, that's because Xiao San has become his disciple. Real or fake? How can this be false? Tang San looked at Wang Xing strangely, not understanding why he had such a big reaction. Wang Xing, on the other hand, looked at Tang San with astonishment on his face, leaned into his ear, and whispered softly, no way, third brother, this master's reputation is not very good. I have been in the academy for a long time and I haven't seen him do anything. After all, he is just a freeloader, and I heard that he is still only a great soul master when he is nearly 50 years old. I am afraid that even the title of master is something he gave himself. That's enough. After hearing Wang Xing's words, Tang San finally couldn't bear it any longer. His eyes flashed coldly, scaring Wang Xing back a few steps. I hope this is the first and last time, my teacher, it's not your turn to comment. Thank you for your kindness. I think I don't need your treat anymore. After saying that, Tang San walked towards the outside of the canteen without looking back. No. Is there something wrong with him? Wang Sheng was also a little frightened. He was just kindly reminding Tang San. Ye Qiu, what's wrong with that guy? Xiao Wu also looked at him strangely, but he didn't even eat. It's nothing. His father was a little angry after being scolded by you. Ye Qiu reached out and pinched Xiao Wu's tender face, with a slight smile appearing on his face. Xiao Wu, who was confused, suddenly turned red and looked at Ye Qiu with his mouth pouted. The swollen cheeks made Ye Qiu pinch him even more wantonly. Humph. Xiao Wu snorted coldly and slapped Ye Qiu's claws away. Okay, Wang Sheng, don't pay attention to him. Sister Xiao Wu is going to starve. While Ye Qiu and others were dining in the cafeteria, Tang San had already returned to the dormitory, still eating dry food and water. After a meal, Tang San returned to the door of the cafeteria, waiting for Yu Xiaojiang's arrival. people came and went, and many people cast doubtful glances at Tang San. Tang San just stood upright, with his eyelids lowered, as if he didn't see them. After waiting for about a quarter of an hour, Ye Qiu just came out of the cafeteria. Seeing Tang San's unfazed expression, he became more and more satisfied with his twin martial soul disciple. He believed that under his guidance, Tang San would definitely become his golden signature in the Spirit Master world, and use his great achievements to shut the world's mouths. Teacher. Tang San stepped forward quickly and bowed respectfully. Here, it's time for you to grow, eat more. Ye Qiu put the wrapped chicken drumstick in his hand into Tang San's hand. Thank you, teacher. Tang San looked at Ye Qiu's slightly stiff smile, but his heart felt warm. Let's go, Xiao San. Ye Qiu took Tang San's little hand and walked to his residence. At this time, Ye Qiu and the others just came out of the cafeteria. Looking at their backs, Ye Qiu knew that they were going to discuss soul hunting. Xiao Wu next to her suddenly started complaining. When will I have money? Sister Xiao Wu doesn't want to eat green leaves all the time. Wouldn't you be rich if you hurry up and become a soul master? Ye Qiu glanced at her, and at the same time reminded himself that he had to hurry up. Turning to look at Wang Xingdao, you should go back first. I want to go find the teachers of the academy to discuss the matter of soul hunting. I got it, boss. Wang Xing showed a smile on his face. As long as Ye Qiu became a soul master, they, the work-study students, would be able to rest easy. After saying that, Ye Qiu walked towards the teaching office. The director surnamed Su seemed to be a good candidate. During the previous report, things went smoothly. When Ye Qiu came to the door, Director Su agreed. He also said that every child with innate soul power is a valuable asset that the academy can only dream of. In the afternoon, Ye Qiu was practicing quietly. Xiao Wu was lying on the bed, looking at Ye Qiu and Ye Qiu's baggage from time to time, feeling a little bored. Tang San came back very late. When he came back, he already had a belt around his waist. Ye Qiu knew about this thing, the soul guidance device, 24 bridges on a moonlit night, and thought that it should be filled with white radish from the source of stinky farts. It's just that Ye Qiu liked the next sentence more. Where can a beauty teach me how to play the flute? Thinking of this, she couldn't help but glance at the little rabbit who was unhappy because Tang San wanted to give her white radish to eat.